Hi everyone. I know it's been a little while since I've chatted with you, but this morning, well, through the day, I've had two very interesting conversations which I thought I must share with you because they've brought me a lot of insight, and I hope that they will do the same for you. One was a chat with a very dear friend, and one was a chat with a client of mine. The first one was a chat over WhatsApp with a dear friend of mine who shared with me a message that she received this morning while she was meditating. The message was given to her by Archangel Raphael, and the Archangel said something that was very interesting, that wounds do not heal till you clean them. And he gave her the example of physical wounds. Let's say there is a cut or you've had surgery. That wound has to be kept clean. You've got to put disinfectant and whatever else is needed to ensure that the wound is cleaned every day. And then the healing takes place. And only then does the healing take place. And the second conversation was with a client who shared something with me that I found so touching. And she mentioned during the course of our session that in earlier years, when there have been birthdays or some celebrations and the family has gotten together and had a dinner together, a get together, there has always been some kind of tension. And she remembers many times when she's sat through those family dinners relatively silent because she's been hurt by how someone has spoken to her, and she recalls how there would be sharp words exchanged between family members, and eventually that family dinner would be nothing like a loving family get together. It was always fraught with tension and uneasiness. And she said this year, due to the lockdown, she shared 2 or 3 birthdays with family who have been in different parts and unable to meet all together. So they had a family dinner over Zoom. And she couldn't believe it, that it was such a wonderfully loving, joyful, happy, filled with laughter and love. And she couldn't believe it, that the event was so amazing, even though they were not all together. They had taken the trouble of dressing up and they ordered in, and they ordered in the same meal even though they were all in their own homes, and they all ate together and had such an amazing time. And she said, from this I had this profound insight that family ties are about the heart, and it's not about being together physically. And she said, the absence of the few who would constantly be finding fault with her and with some others, who would constantly be rude and disrespectful towards her and towards some of the others. Their absence just brought the rest of the family so close together over Zoom. And for her, her heart was full of the love for family, even though they were not together. And she mentioned about how important this realization was for her, that family ties are really not about getting together physically, they're not about distance or physical closeness. It's about what the heart receives and what the heart gives and what the heart shares. The very fact that these two conversations took place in the course of one day instantly rang a bit of a bell for me and said, this is something you need to hear. You needed to hear this. You needed to hear about family ties and certain wounds that don't heal. And I sat down to think of this, and I realized, why don't these wounds heal? Yes, it's because, as Raphael shared with my friend, maybe we haven't cleaned them. And then I got to going deep within myself and asked myself, what does it mean to clean the wounds? And we have to clean these wounds of blame, shame, and guilt. You see, whenever there is an emotional wound, we either blame ourselves or we blame someone else. And if we blame ourselves, it's always accompanied by shame and or guilt. Whenever blame exists, and then it's accompanied by shame and guilt, this wound keeps getting infected because the dirt of blame, shame, and guilt is not being cleansed. And I received that healing of emotional wounds is as automatic a process as healing of the physical wounds. When you go to think about it, what do you and I really do to heal our physical wounds? We just keep them cleaned. We ensure that there is no infection that will set in. And the healing takes place on its own. And that's exactly what we need to do with our emotional wounds. We've just got to keep the wound clean. And there was a further sharing by Raphael to my friend, and Raphael said the way to clean your emotional wounds is just to apply love. And again, I went deep into my space and I received this beautiful understanding. However old that wound might be, however old or new the situation might be, review that situation again. Let your mind remember the details. The words that hurt you, the tone of disrespect, whatever it is that you felt. Again, whether there is blaming self or blaming another, whether there's guilt, shame. Let the mind register all these details. And then let the heart simultaneously, as the mind is registering these details, let the heart release strong waves of love. And visualize this wound, if you would like to, almost like a physical wound. And let these waves of love gently wash that wound, gently apply the balm of love. And as you are cleaning and washing that wound, keep repeating, I love you. I love you. And while you're repeating this, remember one thing. That family member who's constantly hurting you, devaluing you, disrespecting you, is in the larger picture your mirror. The feelings of hurt, the feeling of being rejected, the wounds that you are feeling are probably being felt by that family member or family members. And in the larger context, this can fit in for anyone. Why only limited to family members? So when you say, I love you, and when you're cleaning your wound, please remember, there is only one unified energy. This other that you see as a family member or someone else who's caused you pain and hurt, in the larger cosmic context is your energy. You and the other are one, unified energy. So your wound is that one's wound. Your pain is that one's pain. Your hurt is that one's hurt. So when you are cleaning, let yourself expand. Don't make it only about you. Heal the other's wounds and your wounds, knowing that they are one and the same. So hand on heart, visualize, revisit the wound, and keep reiterating, I love you. Let the energy of love embrace you. Let the energy of love embrace the other. And just as my client was so thrilled about the fact that she could really experience family ties, the love that she has been seeking for so long, you and I will also experience the same. And I realized that these two conversations came to me today because I have to look at some of the family ties that are constantly causing me hurt and pain. And I realized that they are causing me hurt and pain because I am blaming the other. So I've got to let that go. And it was so important and significant for me that I thought I had to share it with you. We all deserve to experience strong, nurturing family ties. And I think these two insights and these two conversations came to me today so that I could share these with you. So that all of us experience the joy of family ties, experience the joy of loving relationships. I hope this shall be of value to you, and if it is, please share this video, subscribe to this channel, and let's spread the word of love. Love is the only force, is the only medicine that can clean all our emotional wounds. Only when the wounds are cleaned of blame, shame, and guilt will they start to heal. Otherwise, try as we might, these wounds remain open. I love you.